I'd like to call on stage my beautiful panelists, starting with Emilio Martinez Gavira, that is Entrepreneurship of Innovation Director at Enagas. Emilio. Angelo Rigilio. Angelo is CEO of Enel Innovation Apps and Head of Open Innovation Apps and Startups at Enel. Sandra Blázquez Borras, that is Head of Open Innovation Repsol. Oscar Cantarello, Head of Corporate Venturing and Open Innovation with Startup Iberdrola and Head of Perseo. And you will tell us what Perseo is. And last but not least, Claudio Farina, that is Executive Vice President Strategy, Innovation, Sustainability at Snam. Claudio. Okay, so I will. So the goal is to try to keep this conversation as much as possible dynamic. I think the focus, again, you got it that we're talking about energy tonight. Again. This was an easy guess, yes. And so obviously there is an energy angle that we need to take a look at. And so I will probably ask you just to give you 3 lines of what your company are doing. At least we know exactly what you guys have been doing. Okay, perfect. And you start, Emilio.
Thank you so much, Alberto, for the introduction and for inviting us and for the beautiful adjective. Thanks. My name is Emilio. I'm the Open Innovation Entrepreneurship Director of Enagas. Enagas, basically, we're a company quite similar to Snam. We construct, operate, and maintain big gas infrastructure, basically. And from the Open Innovation, we're working in several tools that we will discuss later regarding transformation of our infrastructure into renewable infrastructures. We are fostering energy transition through open innovation tools. And we are now all working in some very ambitious decarbonization objective, and we need technology. And we need to take the technology from the science to the market, and the innovators, especially the corporate innovators, are key agents of this transition.
Revenue size, employees, at least we got.
We are 1,300 employees, basically. And so we are a company, we are in the stock market, Iber 35, but basically our money is in the infrastructure, not in the employees.
Going to close company, Claudio. No, we need to move that. Okay, perfect.
So I'm leading the strategy, innovation and technology and sustainability area in Snam. Snam is the transport and system operator for gas. So we basically do the same as Enagas, as you already said. So we basically plan, build, maintain and manage all the gas infrastructure in our company. We are one of the biggest player in Europe and probably one of the few who has all the value chain. So we have regasification units, we have storage, and we have pipeline transportation lines. So we have 32,000 kilometers of lines in Italy, 38 if we also take into account our participation in other countries like Greece, Austria, and France. 3.5 billion euros of revenues. But for being an infrastructure players, I think it's better to look at balance sheet numbers instead of P&L numbers. So we have 15 billion euro of market capitalization. We are the 9th Italian company per market capitalization on the Italian stock exchange. 1 billion of net income per year, 3,000 people, employees. So that's basically Snam.
Perfect. Let's move to the more energy players. Oscar.
Okay, thank you, Alberto, for inviting us. So I lead the corporate venturing and open innovation with the startup program at Iberdrola. Iberdrola is an European utility. More or less, we have 39,000 employees active in Europe, US, Brazil, Australia, Japan, Korea, more than 40 countries. So we are mostly focused on renewables. We have also networks, and of course we have retail in some of those countries. And really focus on develop renewable generation and electrification of the demand. So this is the vision of the company for for more than 20 years, and it will be the same vision, I think, for all the 20 at least, until we achieve the net zero. So this is somehow what we do as a company, and from our program, what we try is to help the company or to look for tools that can support this electrification and decarbonization of the economy with new technologies, trying to keep an eye on those companies that are being innovative and providing these new solutions that can be applied in our sector.
Sandra.
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting us. I'm the head of open innovation at Repsol. Repsol is a multi-energy company provider. We have 24,000 employees, and we are located in a lot of countries, not only in Europe. We are a traditional oil and gas company, but we are leading the energy transition because we were the first oil and gas company to establish the commitment to be a net zero emission company by 2050. So we are now in a really challenging phase. We are changing our traditional complexes, industrial complexes, in real multi-energy hubs, including renewable energies, hydrogen, biofuels, and whatever. And yes, one of the important parts to fuel this transformation is through open innovation initiatives.
Okay. Last but not least, Angelo.
Yeah. Hi everybody. I'm the head of open innovation at Enel, and I'm also the CEO of Enel Innovation Hubs, because we have 10 innovation hubs all over the world. Enel is a utility company. We generate energy, distribute energy, store energy. We also sell new products and services, and mainly energy related. Around 80 billion revenues, around 20 billion EBITDA, 60,000 employees, so 2.3 million of kilometers of networks managed to distribute energy, 56 gigawatt of renewable capacity, so quite a big company, let's say. But that's why we need a lot of innovation for our assets, let's say. And we have very strong ambitions. We want to be net zero by 2040. So there's a lot of work to be done, and that's why we have a lot of tools, and we will go deeper.
Yeah, so that's exactly my next question. I will ask each of you to list among the different tools that you put in the prior slides, which are the one that you're using, and then I will deep dive on something that I know that you're pretty good at. So you want to start? Yeah. Yes, Angelo.
We started using crowdsourcing 7 years ago. OpenInnovability.com is our digital gateway to the crowd. So we launched more than 200 challenges on our website, and we have collected thousands of solutions. 1/3 has been already scaled up. We have 10 innovation hubs, and 2 in Latin America, 1 in San Francisco, 1 in Boston. So East Coast, West Coast are covered, and also Canada and Mexico. Mexico covered from San Francisco, Canada from Boston. Then we have an innovation hub in Madrid, another one here in Barcelona, where we are. 3 of them, but the most important one, 3 in Italy, but the most important one is in Catania for renewables, and 1 in Israel. That's for the startups. Then we have innovation intelligence team. We have internal communities. We have 15 internal communities working on technologies like metaverse, like hydrogen, like 3D printing, and so on. And we have IP center internal to the company. What else? These are the most important tools that we have internally. And also venture, our model is the venture client. We have our small units for the venture building, but these are the main tools that we're using.
The same. Sandra, yes, it's the same. Yes.
Okay, shall I continue? Regarding the tool we have regarding open innovation, when we see the list that Alberto showed you, we have from one point, most of them, we are working on all of them, and we have to do all at the same time because the horizons are different, the projects are different, the needs are different, and actually we need to be prepared. So for the very early stage, we have a quite mature internal entrepreneurship program where we try to develop the ideas of our employees into new startup spin-offs. We also have a venture building program where we try, without an internal entrepreneur, but we try to create new startups with other partners, internal capabilities and external people. We also have a venture client program to buy new solutions, a piloting program, and also we have a direct investment tool. We can also invest directly in startups. And for the growth or commercial stage startups, we approach them through funds. The best way we can support a scale-up is becoming their customer. And if we cannot be the customers, a fund is a better way to accelerate them. That's why we also invest in funds to approach and to create new markets through open innovation with venture scale-ups and growth startups.
Okay. Sandra?
Okay, regarding the diagram that we show, we have most of them, but not all. For example, we don't have an entrepreneurship program that I think that Enagas is really good on them. Why not in a future, but not now? But we have an accelerator program. It's part of the Repsol Foundation. It's an accelerator program that it's now in the 12th call. So we have a lot of experience on that. Regarding the more internal tools, we have also a piloting program, a CVC for investing in startups, and also a venture client tool for proving the solutions. And yeah, we have one experience in a venture building. We launched a spin-off with Enagas, and yeah, this is more or less our open innovation program.
Iberdrola.
So we started 15 years ago just in a corporate VC, so looking for opportunities to invest in companies developing technologies or solutions that we can apply to our businesses, to our sector. And then we have been growing in two different directions. The first one is including most areas of interest. At the beginning, very focused on renewables. Then we have increased the areas of interest and include things related with our customers, with networks, and even some transversal or horizontal technologies. We, as an example, we invested in a company developing an edge computing technology that you could apply not only in our sector but in some others. So we have been growing in the areas of interest, looking always for things that can be applied in our sector. And then we have grown also or increased the number of activities, because at the end of the day we are in the innovation area, and there is not only innovation in those companies that we invest. So we want to have more tools to push our company to collaborate with innovative companies. So for that, we started a venture client, doing pilots, POCs, and defining our needs and collaborating with other companies to have the products that we need. We have also developed Iberdrola challenge activities, so sharing with the community what are our needs and the areas that we would like to be more innovative and looking for those kind of solutions. And we have done also and we started last year a venture client with focus on businesses where we don't see external initiatives. So it's not something that we want to do if there is an
venture builder you mentioned.
Yeah,
yes.
venture builder. It's looking for solutions that sometimes in our sector we cannot find it outside for whatever reason, or not close to our company in regions where we are not active, and thinking about developing this kind of creating a company and develop this kind of businesses. We have also invested in some funds as an LP. This is also an activity that we do also from our program, and we try to do an entrepreneurship program. It doesn't work. It didn't work in our company, and I think it's relatively difficult to develop this kind of initiative in a very big corporations. And also we were discussing internally many different times about accelerating programs. But I think this is something, and this is just our opinion, and maybe something that is our specific case. It doesn't make sense for us to be in so early stage companies or letting the ideas to grow, because we never find the commercial relationship during this first 1-2 years. I mean, the energy sector maybe is not the same than the digital one, so it's much more difficult to accelerate companies, at least from our point of view.
Thank you. Claudio.
So Snam is an 80 years old company, and it always had a very strong innovation attitude and a very strong corporate culture in that sense. But as you said, innovation is a different thing, and when you have such a strong historical, let's say, industrial innovation culture, you tend to be a little bit selfish. You are more keen and prone to look at yourself than to listen to the rest of the world. So when at the beginning you said that we were here being in a panel of, let's say, best performer in terms of open innovation, I thought, well, he must be a little bit optimistic. Then when I listen and I look to all your presentation, then I realized that basically we ticked most of the boxes that you said. So we have an open innovation team dedicated. We do entrepreneurship programs in the company, driven by the open innovation team, not driven by HR, as you said. We look at 1,000 startups per year, and we have a funnel which is shaped more or less, a little bit more optimistic also this one than the one you said, because we have 5 out of 2,000 2 years, so 2,000 companies which are currently scaling up, and 20 which are currently in the POC phase. So I said, well, he's been optimistic, but we have done a lot of things, and I think we started up just 3 years ago together with Cecilia and with most of the team who is here in the room. So I think was a good success. Now I think we have a very big challenge, which is exactly the one that you said before. We are entering the third phase, the third level of the game, the most difficult one, the one in which you have to show that you create value to the company, that you provide IRR, or that you save money, or that you, in any case, are building true and measurable value. So the challenge to us now is exactly this one. Company is now open, company is convinced. We had, for example, last year we called for internal employees who want on a voluntary basis to be part of the innovation internal ecosystem. We call them innovation ambassador. We got more than 100 applications, very well spread, evenly spread throughout the company. So main headquarters, local headquarters, technicians, people from the corporate. So the culture now is widespread, which is very good and very important. We need to show results.
Yeah. Now, I think there are some learnings that I like that you guys might share, again, based on some of the activities. So I will ask maybe Emilio to focus on the entrepreneurship piece again. It's probably you are one of the company with the longer tradition. Keep in mind that when you say longer in this world, we're talking about a few years. Again, you say 15 years, you are coming from a different geological age. So what has been, again, running this program, and then I think just to summarize, they have this entrepreneurship program that originally was designed to span out companies, and actually produced some interesting results. If I can remember, last time we did the math with about 6 to 8 companies that was spun out.
The spin-offs, yeah.
And so it's been a long journey. Then all the journey, there is a lot of learning. What you've learned, particularly if you have to provide an advice to your colleagues, how to make something like this work, and what is changing, because it's no longer, well, maybe it's a matter of evolution, because again, at the beginning, you want to involve the most possible people, and then down the way you want to get not ideas from exactly everywhere, but getting ideas that are focused on challenge. What has been your learning here?
Okay, we'll explain a bit how is our entrepreneurship program. We basically did the opposite what everybody had done before. When you were talking, okay, let's work with the startups, let's work with entrepreneurs, let's do open innovation. Most of the companies started to scout outside the company. And for us, the innovation, we really believe the innovation, the why of innovation is a why of incomes, basically. It's a why of diversification, the business. And what's quite logical, if you want to diversify the portfolio, why are you asking outside how to do it? Why are you asking, I don't know, the investment banks? Why are you asking McKinsey when the people who know more about your business is your own employees, basically? So if you want to develop a new business, why don't you try to evolve, or why don't you try to incorporate the ideas or the knowledge of your employees into this new business? So basically, our former CEO was an entrepreneur before he became a executive. And he believed that the big corporates, any of us are, were very well prepared to execute the business model, but to explore new business models, to explore new technologies, to explore new markets. He really believed that the way of doing of the entrepreneurs is the best one. That's why we started this internal entrepreneurship program. At the beginning was very culture program. Let's try to ask the employees of Enagas how they would develop the Enagas of the future. And we asked for them to business ideas in order to, if they make sense, to try to develop them into a project. And if they make sense and would be itself a new business, let's try to do a spin out with our support. We were looking for two entrepreneurs, not project managers. So this model was, okay, if the business model, the business plan can be feasible and can be economically interesting, let's create a new company between Enagas and the employee. And from that point, the company would follow our policies, but not the procedures. Basically,
that is quite important. Yes.
Yeah, very important. I mean, we wanted really that they would be quick and very prepared to explore. Basically, that's why although Enagas had most of the equity of the company we created with the employees had the motivation of an internal entrepreneur, because he had basically the control of the company and the motivation that if the company goes well, they are going to also have a good benefit from that. With this model, we created 8 companies. 2 of them have been spinning. This is quite interesting learning, basically. If you want to explore a new market, new technology, new business model, you can explore with a startup, because it's a matter of risk. It's a matter of venture. When we talk in English, venture means risk in Spanish. So once the risk is decreased, the corporate is much better agent to develop this company. So if you are going to explore, let's create a startup with an employee. Once the risk disappears, you can spin in. So 2 of these spin-outs have been now part of the mother company. Some learnings. I don't know if you have to create a spin-out with the company. I don't know if it's the best way, because actually for us it makes sense. But if the companies go badly, it's very easy to, oh, come on, this company, you're not doing well. And if the company is success, also you have a problem. Because, okay, the company is doing successful due to the mother company, due to Enagas. But I really believe it's a very interesting model. But in the end, it's a matter of incentives. So you don't have to, really, you have to create spin-offs to have internal entrepreneurs. But you have to have different incentives, because if you have the same incentives as the project managers, you have project managers, you have entrepreneurs. So our model is going to evolve, basically. We created, Alberto, this 7 years ago. At that time, we really have hunger to put our employees in the tension to become entrepreneurs. Now we don't have that tension, but we really want them to help us to answer the challenge we have now, basically. Are we going to keep creating spin-offs? Maybe, as it makes sense. We really believe that the best way to to maybe answer this challenge, to create a new business model that is attached to the core business. Is a spin-off? Why not? But this shouldn't be the only way. In the end, it's a matter of incentives. If you have the same incentive of the project managers, you will get project managers. If you try to give them incentive of entrepreneurs, you will have entrepreneurs. And if Enagas, regulated company, we construct, operate, and maintain gas infrastructure. If we have done it, any of these companies can get it. So
Yeah, just yes, sure.
I would like to comment that I think that it's also a matter of culture, because it's not only a business matter. I think your employees have to leave their current activities to construct or to build this idea, this modeling, and the human resources direct have to be aligned with this strategy, because it's a matter of also generosity between the business models to leave their workers in their own projects. So I think that it's more than that. It's also a matter of recognition for the people, an incentive not only economic, even in activities.
This is a big topic. Yes, correct. Because again, I think there are many companies where at the end the originators of these new ideas are not leaving the mothership, because again, why should I do something like this? I'm safe and healthy here. Why am I supposed to do something like that? So there is a venture builder, Spanish venture builder, when they look for an external CEO, because typically the originator doesn't want to take the role. Maybe it's not suited for that, but most of the time it's a matter of risk perception. A quick comment, I think, from what you say that is super relevant. I think at the beginning, when company launch an entrepreneurship program, the main goal is to reach out the largest percentage of the population, because you want to make it very, very a company thing. Down the way, I think we are learning from you that you go to become more and more selective. You don't really are interested in getting ideas wherever they come from. You try to funnel them in something that is more close to the strategic challenges. Talking about entrepreneurship, I think also Snam has some interesting takeaways here that you can share.
Yes, as I said, we started up all the Open Innovation Program 3 years ago, so we basically ran already 3, let's say, internal calls for entrepreneurship ideas. The guys who won the third edition, the last edition, are here in the room, by the way, so congratulations to them, and this is their piece of their prize. The other piece of the prize is that we will help them in accelerating and improve testing if it is worthwhile going on. I think it's most of the things you already said. So it's culture at the very beginning. At the very beginning, I think you need to be, let's say, very broad in terms of range of innovation that you try to foster and to push, and then you narrow it down and you make it a bit more relevant to the company. But let me just go through a quick anecdote. So the guys who won the first year, so they were so it was really bottom up, because they were guys from one of our maintenance centers in the field, so technicians and field workers, who had in mind a very simple idea, so an application who would help them in, let's say, halving the number of interaction that they had with farmers or people that are wondering if the grid is too close to where they need to build or to do civil works and stuff like that. Because for legal reason they have to apply and we have to respond, but in half of the cases the response is very trivial, so you don't need to go for analysis. So just georeferencing and getting this up was very easy. So the anecdote is that it's been a bit frustrating the time that it took to make it happen, but on the other side, at the end of the day, it happened and the rate of adoption was very good. It was very fast. So again, even though you have a very good idea starting from the bottom, really close to the business needs of a lot of people of your company, because of all the bureaucracy, all the processes of the company, it's not that easy to implement it. It took 3 years, which is an amazing amount of time. But then at the end, people will jump on it. So it was a success at the end, even though a bit late.
It took a while. Yes. Okay. So let's move to another piece that is the venture client, and then we go to the CVC. That's another part. So Angelo, explain why Enel venture client is regularly awarded among the best ones. So, yeah.
Yeah, because you like us.
Because I like you, yes.
Yes. Let me just spend a couple of words on the internal entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
because
we have also another interesting.
We started so long ago that I forgot it. I mean, or maybe we call different things with the same name. We started our when I talk about crowdsourcing, it's also internal crowdsourcing. So all the ideation that comes from inside, that's crowdsourcing for me. Is not internal entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship for me is when you propose us a business and then you start a new venture. We have this. Of course, it was one of the first activities that we did mainly for cultural reason, because it's the first thing that you have to do internally when you have 65,000 employees, and then you startups are coming to you and big corporations are coming to you to cooperate, or you're going to them. So, but after 7 years, I would say it's more crowdsourcing stuff. It's so difficult to start new buildings, new ventures. And I remember the discussion with the SAP guy in San Francisco, which was very interesting. They are very good at doing entrepreneurship. I don't know how they do it, but they're very good at that. Talking about venture clienting, we discovered that it's the most effective way to cooperate with startups. Because we decided to not invest in startups unless
That's something that you don't do it, right?
Yeah, we don't buy startups. We decided not to buy startups. I mean, we bought some startups. We had a internal venture capital fund in 12 years ago, 10 years ago, but then we quit and we decided to switch to move to the venture client business, because for us, I mean, if you buy part of a company, you're kind of destroying that company, because startup as an internal venture needs to be very quick. So if a big giant buys equity of a startup, I mean, the startup cannot fail. Of course, the startup needs to work properly, and they cannot pivot very easily. So we decided to give them the money anyway, but acting as the first customer of the startup. So they get the money, we get in return something much more important for us than money, which is the solution to our needs. So that's why we decided to implement this model. And during the years, we have scouted around 14,000 startups. We have activated around 800 collaborations with them, 120 scale-ups, and the startup received from us something around 250 million euro. So we're not talking about billions, but we're talking about money. So we also bought some startups, but because they were very strategic. For a strategic move, you buy a startup because you're buying customers, you're buying a technology and so on. We bought a couple of them in North America. We bought some also in Europe, but that's the kind of move that we did when if we want to talk about buying a startup. We don't.
And there is.
I'm not saying that we're not going to have any venture internal corporate venture, but let's say that until us, we have done.
Currently, has been the choice, but I think one of the differentiator of your venture client is, I believe, is the innovation managers, the one that are sitting inside the business units, because at the end, the typical bottleneck is that you can find the best startup of the world. This is not that complicated, but at the end, if there is not someone that push them in and make sure that something happens, nothing happens.
Yes, you're right. He mentioned the incentives, which are very important. So we have business line, we have staff functions. In each business line, in each staff function, we have at least one innovation or sustainability, innovability manager or innovation plus a sustainability manager, and they have the MBOs at the end of the year. 50% 50% coming from the business and 50% related to innovation activities. So they are the one managing the innovation committees, the scouting committees, the screening committees. So they are the one proposing the startup or the new venture or the POC to be started. And so they are the one that are kind of, managing all the activities. So they're the one that will get the money at the end of the year related to the innovation activities that they've done.
And that, in our experience, is one of the differentiation between organizations that at the end are able to deliver results rather than the ones. Because
usually when people ask me, what shall I do to have an innovation unit and innovation activities that work properly, I usually say you need budget, you need recognition internally. I mean, your name has to be there in their organizational structure, and you need to move like the other functions are moving. So you need processes, you need procedures, you need KPIs, you need tools, and so on. But without a budget, without a team, without your name in the structure, you're not going to succeed. And CEO commitment.
Yeah, that's one and only thing that we are pretty sure that works. Sandra, I think you are sitting in the center of the stage, but also you have both the venture client and the corporate venture capital. Actually, you have more corporate venture capital, like also to open quick discussion about being LP in four-party funds. That is another choice that some of you has done. So can you tell us how you structure the two things, venture client and corporate venture capital?
Well, we our corporate venture or CVC capital starts more seriously in 2016. We invest in startups in tickets around 1.5 million. It's an average, and we have now around 20 startups in our portfolio. And as all corporate funds, all the startups we invest have to be aligned with the strategy of the company, and we need in all of them a sponsorship for this investment. So the money comes from the fund, from the corporate, not for the businesses, but we need their support. So sometimes it's a tricky, a problem, because the business unit doesn't see the problem now. They need to earn money now, not in some years later. So sometimes it's not easier to find this support. But we are strong, and those of startups, we try to help them with our businesses or with our clients, or proving the technology in our assets. So this is related also with the venture client. We try to boost the startup from our portfolio, but also prove the technology from another startups in our assets, in a customer-client relationship, because they have a lot of disruptive technologies, new technologies, and they are really agile for proving instead of another corporation for develop the technology or prove the technology in our assets or in our labs.
Okay, perfect. Moving to Oscar, I think you are a quite interesting case. Like in the first time that we met, it was ages ago. I was quite surprised that you have the corporate venture capital, not the venture client. And then down the way, you build it up. And then, paradoxically, I see that many other corporates are following the same route. Robert Bosch, Maersk. So tell us a bit more about your journey.
Yeah, I think venture client has an advantage. We did away probably on the opposite than others. But I think, and the figures that Angelo mentioned show that is that you cannot invest in 100 companies, but you can collaborate with 100, 200, 300 companies. So it's a model that allows you to collaborate with a lot more companies than if you are only invested in startups. So for us, that was one of the reasons to develop this model. We started, as I mentioned before, with the CVC, and we realized that there are thousands, 100 millions of companies that we are not pushing the company to collaborate with because they were not interested in funding, they were not in the right region for collaborating with us or whatever, or for being invested by us or whatever. So we decided to, okay, let's look for other ways to collaborate with these companies, and this is why we started the venture client activity. We have been continuing with the CVC because we think both tools are complementary. I mean, we invest in companies that I would say 80% of the cases we have been working before in the venture client program. But we want to have providers that at that stage they will need to be well financed, because we don't want to have a provider that in 1-2 years has problems and we need to change, and so we give them the support, the financial support, or offer to them the financial support also for growing with us. This is in a very, let's say, non-intrusive mode. I mean, we participate in those companies, always a minority stake, around 10% or even less, and trying to push further the collaboration with them, becoming partnership for other regions, for helping them to go to other business close to our business. So something that we can even add more value than the money that we give to them. So this is somehow the differences and the rationale for doing the venture client from our end.
Perfect. To complete our overview, and then I would like to open the floor to questions and a contribution, because there is a lot of colleagues in the room that probably can contribute it, is investing as LP in for-party funds. Who is doing here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 3.5. Okay. Why that?
Well, in our case, 2 main reasons. One is we want to grow the activity, but it's difficult to go internally and say, hey, I want 10 more people here, I want 100 million here for investing in more companies. So we decided to invest in fund, one for increasing the activity. And the second one, and I will say it is even more important, is to invest in things that are related with the energy transition, but not so close to Iberdrola businesses today. So we invested, for example, in a fund here in Spain that is a sustainable fund, but not only thinking about energy, thinking about agri-tech and some other areas that we think in the future are going to be interesting for Iberdrola, but we are not nowadays on that specific area as a company. So we can learn about those areas, we can collaborate if possible with some of these companies, but it will be more difficult to do a direct invest today.
Claudio?
So I think the question can be broken down in two. So why invest, and why invest in a third party instead of funding directly yours? So the first one we already covered. So you need to have some skin in the game. You need to be part of the ecosystem. The second one is a bit more complicated, as you already said. It lowers down. So we invest in a third party fund. It lowers down a little bit the risk, it diversifies better, it gets you access to a higher scale. You need scale, you said it. So to a higher scale with a smaller ticket of money that you put. And as you said, it avoids to be, as I said before, selfish. So we are part of a fund which is dedicated to, broadly speaking, energy tech and clean tech. You are sure that you are screening even technologies that you wouldn't consider, that you may consider, let's say, more as a risk than an opportunity. So it gives you really the widest range.
And by the way, one investment you did together with Enagas, right?
In High 24? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So.
Okay, to add, obviously, I agree with my colleagues has said before, to add something new, actually, and regarding all the investment strategy, the venture client obviously it's a very interesting way of investing, but it's a matter of horizons. And we need to be prepared for all these horizons. I remember when Steve Jobs said, if I had asked my customer what they wanted, they never had told me an iPhone. So with the venture client, it's very good to have solutions of your needs now, but what are you doing with the new solution they don't know? That's why I think that we have to do venture client. Also, the venture direct investments are important because they can impact your core business now in the future, but also the funds are important, as they said before, as a matter of scale, and they also can have a important impact in creating new markets, a market that are going to be important for you in the future, but you cannot grow them as them alone. With these funds, like Oscar said, can create and say these markets that are going to be important in the future. You can also have access to technologies and projects that you cannot do it alone, like High24. And it's interesting, the strategy of funds, basically, because in the short term, what we receive as a company that invests in these funds is out of knowledge, basically knowledge of technology, market, regulation, and in the future also, well, in the short term also, you can have access to deal flow that you cannot go alone. Actually, these interesting opportunities, the fund is looking at, and they are too small for them, they can give them. And also for us, it's a way to support higher scale-ups that we cannot do it for ourselves. We can do it through the fund. And also in the future, apparently they guarantee some incomes and some rentability, some profit that obviously is very important in our innovation. So I think that the challenge is to do all at the same time. Because there are many technologies, we don't know which one of them are going to work. Horizons that we need to have a tool for that, and we need to do all at the same time. I also defend the importance of doing direct investments, because the beauty of direct investments is that we are, in a way, evergreen funds. So if we see 3 very interesting opportunities one year, we can invest. If we don't see any interesting opportunity one year, we don't invest. The funds have a period of investment and disinvestments. So in the end, all our tools that answers different challenges.
Okay, perfect. So I think we went through all the typical, again, all the difficult pillars of the Open Innovation Temple, as we can call it. And I would like to open the floor to questions or contributes from colleagues that are sitting in the room. Anybody? Over there. Come over, because we need a mic.
First of all, thank you very much for all the input. I would have a question, because you have all like a lot of things going on. You launch a lot of challenges out to the startups, and there's also some colleagues in the room like who maybe are right now starting or want to build an open innovation program. So the question for me would be like, how do you balance like the constantly launching new challenges to scaling the ones that you already have, the collaboration, and then like you said, maybe Claudio, you have been like 3 years in the game right now, like how do you get the return on investment? How do you switch from a set this all up to a portfolio management approach?
You want to take it?
Well, I think that the innovation area has to collaborate and push the company at the beginning. So once you launch a challenge, you start to collaborate with a company or wherever. I think you have to be there for 6, 8 months, depending on the company and the project. But then is the business who realize this is interesting, assess the value somehow, and they lead the relationship. So they then take the lead of the project, and from the ventures or open innovation point of view, we can go to another one. This is fine. We keep internal reports, and we ask for how it is going every month or 2 months, but we don't need to dedicate more resources. So it's the business, because at the end of the day, what we want is to create these commercial relationships with our business colleagues. And once we have achieved this, we go a step ahead and wait for keeping the relationship. We don't need to push anymore the businesses to collaborate with that company. Yeah.
I think that actually our innovation activity should be measured from financial point of view in the long term, basically. So in the short term, our main aim is to offer options, give options to the company. Okay, there are new things happening there. I bring you here to as a new pilot, new solution, new supplier. I give you options to be prepared for the future. But let's say the profitability should be obviously in the long term. We are like the reserve team of the youth academy of the football clubs. I mean, here you can go to the market to the common suppliers, or you can have new solutions. But the balance and the financial balance should be okay. Let's say in 6-7 years. And the thing is, if we invest in a fund, we are asking the fund for this profit in 8 years. Why are you asking me a profit in the 3rd year? In the first year, in the 1, 2, 3 years, the impact should be new solutions, new pilots, new technologies scouted, but the money should be scouted after the 6-7 years. The problem is when you look for incomes of profit in the 3rd year. Okay, let's change the boss. And now, magically in the 3rd, 4th year, the things start to happen because these new pilots start to have the development. So I think the focus should be the long term. Obviously, we need to be very, very flexible to the requirement of the business units. Obviously, okay, because the requirements and the focus is changed, is dynamic. But getting also in and to know and letting the company know that the income should be measured in the long term and the impact in the short term.
I think especially the long term is really important, especially in the industrial environment, because for example, software companies is more easier to develop or to scale the technology and start to earn money. But for the industrial solution on the industrial startups, there is that we call the valley of the death between the piloting works, but then scale up in the industrial environment is so difficult. So yeah, the long-term relationship, I think, is the key, especially for the industrial sector.
Yeah. Any other questions?
And also to add that not all the projects that we do are successful. So some of them finish at earlier than expected.
That's actually quite a good point, because again, if you are always successful, you're not doing anything new probably. So that's
exactly.
But again, in the corporate environment, saying that something has not been successful is sometimes a bit are the true to tell or not.
Can I add?
Sure.
Yeah. You touched a good point, referring to what I said before, so that we had industrial engineering, very strong culture built along the decades. One of the pitfalls is exactly that one, that nobody was used to fail, because in gas infrastructure industry, basically you are not allowed to fail. So you have to proof building everything and bulletproofing everything, and then you are not used to fail. You don't have the culture, so you don't understand that failing is an option. And so what happens that you dilute the projects for years and years and years until when nobody asks anymore about it, and then it just disappears. But that's not that sucks out a lot of resources, a lot of time. So first of all, you need to understand that failing is part of the options. Not the best one, obviously, but it's part of the options, and that you learn from failing, obviously.
Other questions? Over there, come over. Can you introduce yourself, at least we know you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Martin. I work for Atos here in Barcelona. Great discussion. You're all heading up very ambitious innovation programs. Can you say something about the sort of success rate of your innovation programs, how you measure it, and what would be the one thing that you, if you had a magic wand, would change to increase your success rate?
That's a good question. Angelo, you start from you, because again, you come prepared with this one, yes.
Okay, some numbers. We scouted, we collected something around 28,000 opportunities in the last 6 years. 1 out of 10 is we call it a valid one, so might be interesting. 1 out of 20 becomes a project, and only 1 out of 100 is scaled up. So that's the average. It's a little bit higher for the startups, but that's the average. Now we have 2 challenges. You already know one, that is the scaling up, which is the most difficult part of our job, I think, because we used to call it the handover to the business. It's wrong. It's the because we're not handing over anything; they're handing in. Okay, because they're working together since the drafting of the POC. So they work together, business and innovation. They work together from the collecting of the need, then the scouting of the solution, the drafting. So the whole process is done together, and then they hand in. I mean, they try to implement the solution after the POC. But I wanted to talk about this because the second challenge now is the need collection. You know, it might be weird, but after 7 years of need collection, I mean, you don't have a lot of needs to be collected anymore. So, and now at the end, you have a lot of scale-ups to be done that, you know, for some reasons, they're stuck in the process, and you're still collecting needs, but you are collecting the same needs very often, okay? So you don't have a lot of challenge to be launched anymore. And maybe that's the point where you need to look at another horizon, you know, because you have realized that, you know, the 80-20, right? The Pareto. I mean, with all of your efforts, you have solved 80% of your needs, and so collecting more needs is like wasting time. Maybe you need to look a little bit further.
Any other comments to this question?
Well, in our case, one of the measures that we have taken into account from the one initiative is going well is our proof of concept program, our ID Action. At the beginning, when we work with the R&D, the scientists in Repsol, when we start talking about we are looking for science or innovation outside to allow you to improve your own developments. They say, what? We are the best ones. We don't need innovation outside. We are the best researchers. But this was one point to convince them to start this proof of concept with third parties, and now they are giving us these opportunities. So I think that one of the points to measure is the opportunities or the quantity of proof of concept that we are doing in-house, thanks of them. And also how that you also said what the quantity of this proof of concept that has become to a project, or even become to a relationship with a customer client in the venture building or the venture client.
Yeah. Okay.
To give you another kind of data, you have talked a lot about pilots, about investments. We have had a portfolio of 18 startups invested. We have still alive 14. 3 of them has been spinning. Okay, we created three startups. 1 of them have closed, so it's not that bad, that rate. But the thing is, when you are supporting a company, maybe you are not killing them early enough. Basically, when you are, so of these 14 startups we have alive, maybe 3-4 are going to be closed this year, basically. So one learning is basically we as a corporate, if we are going to invest in startups or create startups, we should do it in one's fields where we have a unfair advantage, something that we are very good at, because if you are going to compete to a startup in the same conditions, the startup is going to be always quicker and faster, more flexible than you. So one learning is, okay, try to do something where we have an advantage. I look at the SNAM, Claudio, obviously, if you want to do something with a pipeline, obviously we have an unfair advantage. In that thing is something we can do. If we are going to compete in a field where the common startup can compete, we are going to lose, basically. So the startups are going to be always quicker than us. Another learning is the things that are so close to your core business, it's better if you do it for yourself, or maybe with venture building or internal entrepreneurship programs, because they are so close. So try to look at the startups when in fields that you are not as so good at, and you can find there. Okay, the new technologies, the disruption might be look outside. So there's some learnings. Another learning is not try to do it alone. Okay, so the first internal entrepreneurship startup we created along with the employees. Now let's try to add more partners, because when you have more partners, you don't only share risks, that is important, you also share resources, knowledge, capabilities, and maybe we are companies like SNAM and ourselves, that we are, let's say, oligopolies. So if you can bring other companies, like can be Repsol or Iberdrola, and can add other kind of resources, this is very important. And when we talk about energy, as Sandra said, the value of death is much deeper and longer. So there are only two agents that support the companies in the States, the corporates and the public sector. So it's very important, the cooperation among corporates.
Any other questions? Oh, plenty. Come over.
Thank you very much. First, a pleasure. Super interesting conversations. I liked what you just said about collecting the same needs over and over again. Internal entrepreneurship you talked about. My name is Piotr. I represent tech stars in Europe, so my question will be very biased. You scratched the surface about the complex recipe about connecting accelerators with corporates. Our two best performing accelerators are Alabama Powers in Birmingham, Alabama, and Equinor in Oslo. But you're right, all of the accelerators are not performing equally. What is your best recipe from your perspective an accelerator has to bring in and a corporate partner has to bring in to make it work?
Asking me or asking them? I would say.
Well, as we have an internal accelerator program, I think that success has to be that this accelerator had also to be aligned with the strategy, because it's an internal accelerator program. But given the advices and the environment to allow them to grow, we can assess or we can give mentoring about our industry, our business models, our experiences, and I think that it's really important to help them, also provide them the proof or the industrial environment to prove the solution that they are looking for to construct.
Any other comments about the accelerators? You don't like?
Sorry, I don't like accelerators that much. I mean, we actually we have two little, very small accelerators. For digital solutions, because it's something that can be accelerated very easily, and also if it's early stage, it's not capex intensive and so on. So it's something that we're trying, and then we have an accelerator for hydrogen, and it will be active it's already active, because we have some green hydrogen activities in Sicily. But I don't like accelerators so much. No.
Actually, I love accelerators. The problem
yeah, that's why.
The problem is that they are not good fit for corporates of this size. Period. That's the point. So I think that we have, honestly speaking, we have a big problem. That is how we can manage the early stage from a corporate perspective. Yeah. Because the problem that the early stage and the corporate perspective are a bad fit, because they are too early to be engaged. Is the model of a funneling a solution interesting? I believe that it's not me, it's my opinion, but just the data tell us that are not producing valuable resources, valuable results thus far. But I believe that we have a big problem. How corporates can support the early stage? That's the big question. I don't have an answer. Venture builder, I don't know. Startup studios, I don't know. Accelerators, probably no more.
Yeah, he said that you need to do everything. You know, it's always good to do everything, but at some point you have to decide what to do. I mean, doing everything on average is. I'm not saying that you're doing on average, but at some point we have to choose. You know, we're doing this, and this, and we're not doing. We're not accelerating so much. We are not investing. We're not having. So it was a matter of choice.
Regarding the acceleration issue, actually, I don't believe in the acceleration programs in our sector, in companies like mine. I don't believe in the acceleration, I believe in the acceleration programs. That is not the same. So what we do is acceleration on demand. Okay, I believe that the usual acceleration, Techstars, you say, Y Combinator, they work very well in the digital world when you can put a lot of 5 companies, 10 companies at the same time working together for 6 months with some challenge of corporates. They work in the digital world very well. In our world, especially here in the table, especially in the very deep tech infrastructure world, I mean the timing is 6 years for a pilot maybe. In the project together with Repsol, we have been working 3-4 years. We are still several millions invested, and we're still at tier L number 5. This is the world we are working in, basically. So I believe in the acceleration program that let's say is a tailor-made program for projects. We are accelerating as we are developing a tailor-made. They are obviously they are not incubate, they are not ideas, they are projects. I believe in that. The common acceleration, I think, in our world and our industry doesn't work quite well, I think. But this is a matter of our technology and the area, field of interest, not the acceleration program itself, I think.
Yeah, I think that it's important that the accelerator program is not doesn't need the sponsorship from the businesses. In our case, it's separated from the foundation. So it's a non-profit accelerator program. So it's to work for the entrepreneur, for the startup, but not for being then acquired or something like that.
Oscar?
Yeah, I think I agree with Emilio. It's very difficult in our sector, biotechnology or some sectors that accelerate is not so easy. It's true that there are more and more digital opportunities and there is some room for accelerate this kind of areas, but it's very challenging to accelerate hardware solution or things that need time for being tested.
I think that accelerator may help, but they have a natural bias, even if they are specific firms, even if it is a function within your program, within your organization, they are projected to accelerate. So they may have a bias to accelerate whatever they have in their portfolio. So they tend to be less selective and less prone to kill and stop. So again, it's a bit against what we said before, the need to be very fast in stopping what doesn't fly.
I think we have time for the last final question. Over there. Come over.
Try to be quick. I'm going to be even more biased than you, Piotr, so apologies in advance. My name is Carol. I'm the director of CREC Foundation. And so we, just to give you a brief description of what we do is we scale scientific marine biodiversity solution. So we're in offshores and ports, etc. And so given the rise of impact ventures and the fact that you have sustainability in your title, Claudia, I was just wondering to what extent is sustainability in your innovation startups important? And when I say sustainability, is it doing less harm? Is it circular economy? Is it even further than that? I know it's annoying to ask that question here, but somebody had to do it.
Well, sustainability is core to our strategy. We are at the center of the energy transition issue, so we have a very big challenge and role, at least in a big part of what is sustainability, which is what has to do with emissions and with impact on land, impact on sea, as we have pipeline bottom of the sea and in the land. So we try, and I push in the way that we don't look at sustainability and something different to strategy, to our business strategy. So I push in the direction that we didn't select some good ideas, some good technologies, and good startups for our strategy, and then we do for our sustainability goals. I push to do the two things together. Then I think here the challenge is even bigger, at least for operators like us, and so the solutions are even more difficult and tougher to find. So I cannot say that because of the push we are able to find gold mines or everywhere.
Well, I think sustainability is somehow in our core. We are very active also in circular economy. We started a company last year for recycling blades and some other assets from our sector. We have been analyzing some companies developing technology in that side. Through our fund, invested in a company, in an UK company for waste management. So it's an interesting area. And we have launched during the last 6-8 months 2 challenges for improving sustainability and biodiversity in our offshore wind farms. So I think it's a very interesting area, really interesting the solutions that are appearing on that. It's been something really relevant for our businesses because these kind of things are going to be needed in the short term. So we are not going to build an offshore wind farm if we are not, let's say, sustainable or respecting the biodiversity in that area. So it's something really relevant and really open to have discussion and receive opportunities that can collaborate on that regard.
Well, I think that all of us has in our strategies the decarbonization, circular economy. One of the 3 search fields that when we search opportunities, one of them is low carbon processes and circular economy. So I think that we are really aligned with the sustainability. One of the things that we also measure is the emissions that we are allowing to avoid with some of our investments. And also this year, one of the businesses at Repsol has a percentage of this earns invest in activities related with to improve in the rural environment and to digitalize and improve these areas.
Yeah, you don't see sustainability in my job title because it's. I mean, my boss is the Chief Innovability Officer, so it's innovation and sustainability together. So I would say it's even more. But to be, for each innovation process that we approve, for each POC to be run, we have to think where there is written sustainability impact, okay? So we calculate sustainability impact for each innovation project. If the innovation project doesn't have any sustainability impact or it's something against the sustainability, let's say, it will not be approved. So it's just something that it's given for granted.
To add something new, I agree with my colleagues and totally align. Every year we discuss our fields of interest with the strategy department and other departments. And last year we were checking if sustainability should be an area of interest or not. And strategy said it doesn't make sense because all what we do it must be sustainable. So it doesn't make sense to have a field of interest sustainability, because everything should be sustainable. If not, we shouldn't invest. So it's also in the top that it doesn't make sense to put there. So it's important and a good news. And second thing, every investment or pilot we do, we should calculate the CO2 footprint, basically. Of any investment, any project we do in our portfolio, we analyzed it, and also the CO2 saved, and also the methane developed, methane emissions sleep, and also natural gas we have also used in our facilities is something that we are always analyzing.
Perfect. I think it's midnight pretty late, so thank you for the attention such a long time, and thank you for our speakers for sharing their experience. Thank you to you for contributing to the lively discussion, and see you next time.